Yes, guys, welcome back to the MMA Sucker channel. As always, I'm Frazer Krohn, and we have got your UFC 321 main event breakdown for the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world between the current reigning undisputed champion, Tom Aspinall, and the next challenger, the next logical challenger in Ciryl Gane. I'm going to talk a little bit about sort of each man's keys to victory, a few of the stats going into the fight, and then I'm going to give a little bit of a breakdown into sort of certain things that I would look out for in the fight and certain things that I think that maybe each man can kind of use as a little bit of a tell as to how they might sort of play that sort of element of the fight. Now, let's jump into a few stats before anything. Tom Aspinall, the recently crowned undisputed heavyweight champion. As we know, he was the interim champion. He won that against Sergey Pavlovich in 2023. In 2024, he defended that belt. Not rare that we hear that someone defends the interim belt, but he defended that belt against Curtis Blades in London in a first round KO. I'll go on to talk about that in a second. And he's taking on Ciryl Gane, who himself is a former interim heavyweight champion. He's had two shots, I believe, at the undisputed belt, losing to Francis Ngannou and John Jones. This will be his third shot. Will it be third time lucky for the Frenchman, or will it be same old for Tom Aspinall? Aspinall, a little bit of the tail of the tape. His record is 15-3. Ciryl Gane's is 13-2. Average fight time. This is where it gets real interesting. Tom Aspinall's average fight time in the UFC is 2 minutes and 2 seconds. 2 minutes and 2 seconds, and you're the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. Ciryl Gane's is 14 minutes and 15 seconds. So pretty much best part of a three-round fight. Ciryl Gane goes in comparison to Tom Aspinall's 2 minutes. Ciryl Gane on average goes over 2 rounds more than Tom Aspinall in the UFC. 6'5", Tom Aspinall, 6'4", Ciryl Gane. Both men weigh in around the 255 to 260 mark. 255 to 250 mark. They're not the biggest of heavyweights, nor are they the smallest. Gane will have a 3-inch reach advantage in his favour. So that's a little bit of the sort of tail of the tape for both men. What do we know about Tom Aspinall? Tom Aspinall is very fast and he's very explosive for a heavyweight. He likes to finish fights early, as we said. 2 minutes average fight time in the UFC is something, whilst being an undisputed heavyweight champion, is something that we're not really used to. He's finished every fight in his career, from BAMMA to Cage Warriors to the UFC. In the UFC, he's got first round, second round, and then all from there are first round finishes. His last 3 fights, because we've got to consider that he has lost a fight in his career due to that knee injury against Curtis Blades just 15 seconds into that fight. We do have to consider that is going to affect the fight time a little bit, that 15-second injury. But it doesn't also tell us the whole story. Against Marcin Tybura, he finished the fight in 1 minute and 13 seconds. Sergey Pavlovich, 1 minute and 9 seconds. Curtis Blade, 1 minute. His UFC debut, 45-second finish. The second fight in the UFC, 1 minute and 35 finish. Sergey Spivak, 2 minutes and 30. I mean, Alexander Volkov went quite a while, 3 minutes and 45. But the man who's been able to sort of extend Tom Aspinall the longest so far has been Andrei Arlovski. That got into the second round before Aspinall just kind of ran Arlovski into the fence at the beginning of the second round and locked in a rear naked choke. He's very fast, he's very explosive, and he likes to finish fights often. Or does he? Does he like to finish fights often, or does he just spot an opportunity and take it? Is it that he's actively looking for the finish really early on, or is he just so quick at reading an opponent, landing the shots that are going to hurt the opponent and finishing the fight? I think it's that. I don't think that he rushes finishes at all, because he does it to everyone. He does it to heavy hitters, he does it to wrestlers, he does it to well-rounded guys, he does it to taller fighters, he does it to shorter fighters. He can see where the flaws in his opponents are. I mean, Jake Collier, level of opponent's questionable, but it was Aspinall's UFC debut. Jake Collier finished him in 45 seconds. I mean, Sergey Pavlovich, a really feared striker at the time, I believe he'd only had one loss on his UFC record at the time to Alistair Overeem. Yep, correct. He was knocking everybody out, Pavlovich. First round, first round, first round, first round, first round, first round. Then he goes in there against Tom Aspinall and gets blitzed in just over a minute. It's not, in my opinion, that Tom Aspinall rushes fights and goes in there looking for the finish from the get-go. He goes in there and can read data so quickly that he just blitzes through his opponents. Now, if anyone's ever seen Tom Aspinall's Fight Lab, you can just tell how intelligent a fighter he is and what he can read in comparison to what this sort of average fighter can read. And it is scary for his opponents. But he's knocking everybody out, and yet he's not exactly got a massive history in striking. His sort of background is in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. His dad was a Jiu-Jitsu coach, from my understanding. So he's dangerous wherever it goes. But what we have to ask is, and he has as well, he's created a fight team of some of the best, Ante Delija, Mick Parkin, the guy's name completely, the Octagon heavyweight champion, the guy's name has completely gone out of my head. Let me, not Octagon, KSW heavyweight champion. It's gonna, Phil DeFries. God, that name just completely went out of my head. He has created a team around him of big heavyweights. That's not an easy thing to do. Heavyweights don't sort of grow on trees. There are a few men that are that big with the ability to fight in a range of different sort of areas of MMA. He's created a phenomenal team. The one question I have to ask about Tom Aspinall is, what does he look like when the fight goes late? And the only reason I have to ask that is because we've never seen it. We have never seen Tom Aspinall past, I think, 6 minutes. Or what we've seen in past 6 minutes. His longest fight is 6 minutes and 9 seconds. So what does he look like in the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 3rd round, 4th round? Maybe, really in the depth of the 5th round. Will it get there? Will we ever have to answer that question? I'm not so sure. But what does he look like? That's the only question, and the only slight doubt I have about Tom Aspinall is that, and it's because we haven't seen it. His longest fight to date, he went. Let me have a quick look. He went into the 9th, just shy of the 9th minute in a loss back in 2015. I'm not buying any of this. I just have that one question about his stamina because I haven't seen it. And I don't think for a second that Tom Aspinall is a 5-minute fighter, is a 10-minute fighter, cannot go longer than a short distance. I think that he's going to be more than prepared. You don't get to the heavyweight championship of the world with the mindset that he's got just to sort of take the fight, easy. But I just haven't seen it. And like I say, I do not deny that he is more than capable of going 25 hard minutes if he has to. I just haven't seen it. As for Ciryl Gane, very technical striker. Good movement, light on his feet. He does have a good ability to manage distance between him and his opponents, but he does often come across as a risk-averse style, and he does come across as a little bit of a point fighter, which is a surprise at heavyweight from a guy with a Muay Thai background. He has struggled with elite wrestlers. Well, I say he struggled with elite wrestlers. He struggled against John Jones. John Jones took him down, submitted him, wasn't even close. What worries me a little bit is that he struggled against Francis Ngannou in the wrestling realm, and he's only had 4 fights since that, and that was in 2022. He's not been active at all, Ciryl Gane, or not as active as he started his UFC career. I would worry if I was Ciryl Gane about the wrestling, because I don't think Tom Aspinall is going to try and outpoint Ciryl Gane on the feet. So let's jump into my breakdown of the fight itself. I think this is potentially a very close fight. It could be if Tom Aspinall plays Ciryl Gane's game of kind of point fighting. But Tom Aspinall's not stupid. Tom Aspinall knows that Ciryl Gane is a fantastic point fighter, and he knows that he knows that he can't be sloppy, and he knows that he can't rush things, and that he can't sort of take anything for granted in this fight. And I genuinely do believe that Tom Aspinall will stand with Ciryl Gane for a while. I think this will be the longest fight of Tom Aspinall's career. I don't see it going early. I think that he will stand with him for the first few minutes and try and download a little bit of the data and see if he can go for the knockout. But the risky thing is Tom Aspinall's defense sometimes, now I'm not saying every time, but sometimes looks a little bit suspect. He does back up with his chin slightly high in the air. He does rely a lot on his reactions to kind of just lean out of the way with his hands ever so slightly down. Now, he's lucky enough that Ciryl Gane is not going to look to take this one to the floor. He's not. Ciryl Gane will not shoot for a takedown unless it's a panicked, I've been rocked, I'm almost knocked out kind of takedown. He won't shoot for a takedown on Tom Aspinall. So Aspinall can lean back and really expose his hips to Gane and it not really be a problem. He might be susceptible to the low kick, but for Gane to be able to throw, let's say, a 1-2 and then go for the low kick, there's a chance, but it's unlikely. What I do worry is that with a little bit of a longer reach than Aspinall, and with a man that can get in distance very quickly, Gane could catch Aspinall on the chin. I'm not saying he will, but he could. He could catch him on the chin. Now, Curtis Blades has got a longer, I believe, has got a longer reach than Gane. No, a 1 inch shorter reach than Gane, and he almost caught Tom Aspinall. Sergey Pavlovich, however, has a longer reach than Ciryl Gane and didn't catch Tom Aspinall. So these are all if, buts, and maybes. What I don't like about Tom is that he does, like I say, he does lean and he does expose his chin ever so slightly and uses that kind of upper body reactions to really try and sort of make his opponents miss, but then be able to hit them back. And it hasn't failed him since. It hasn't failed him yet, but it does only take one. It reminds me a little bit of the Chris Weidman Anderson Silva original fight, when Anderson's kind of leaning back and sort of toying with Weidman a little bit, and Weidman catches him on the chin. Tom doesn't do it to try and sort of wind his opponents up and toy. That's just his style of avoiding strikes, by leaning out of the way and leaning backwards ever so slightly. But it would just concern me slightly with the speed of Gane and how quick Gane can get in and out, and how he can cut the angles with that footwork and that movement. With that being said, the main thing that what I can see happening, I don't think Gane overthrows in this one, but I think he tries to land on Aspinall, and I think if he tries to land on Aspinall and fails, I think he gets taken down to the mat with relative ease, a lot like the Alexander Volkov takedown, where I think Volkov threw a 1-2, Aspinall ducked underneath it and just snatched him from his feet. Phenomenal takedown from Tom Aspinall. Really, really good. Really, really strong takedown. And a takedown that, realistically, he was kind of given by Volkov because he overswung on Aspinall. And, I don't think, like I said, I don't think Gane's going to do that. And I think the takedown will be a little bit, if this situation is going to happen, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to do because Gane isn't going to give up his hips like Volkov did. But I do think that Aspinall will be able to take the fight to the ground if Gane gets a little bit greedy and sees an opening that maybe isn't there. One interesting factor, I think, will be Gane's ability to manage distance. If he can keep Tom Aspinall at the end of his strikes, he's going to have a much better night of things for as long as it lasts. Because I think, if he can land we've seen him land the teep kick, we've seen him sort of with that in and out style, slapping the leg kick. He has to be careful that leg kick isn't caught because, like I say, if Tom Aspinall wants to take this fight to the ground, I believe that he can. And the long jab from Gane can land. I think he should jab down to the body to keep Aspinall sort of thinking of, what's next. But I do just think out of these two men, from what we've seen, from the data that we've got on these two men, let's say Tom Aspinall loses the first 2 or 3 rounds and needs a finish. I think he can put the hammer down and finish Ciryl Gane, or he can at least go in search of the finish and look to really put his foot down, look to go out there and really put it on Ciryl Gane, close the distance, ignore the teep kick, ignore the jab, close the distance, get inside, make it ugly. Ciryl Gane doesn't like an ugly fight. We know that. Even against Taito Avasa in Paris, although he won, he came out with a knockout. He was dropped in that fight. He didn't like the ugly fight. Tom Aspinall can make it ugly if he needs to, and I think he might need to. He may need to in this fight. It's a very. I think the fight is slightly closer than people are making out. But the prediction, of course, is Tom Aspinall's going to win this one. He is going to win this one, I'd say, by second round submission. I think he gets to read on on Gane in the first round. I think Gane is wily enough of a striker not to get stuck in an exchange with Tom Aspinall, because that's when Tom Aspinall thrives. Pavlovich and Curtis Blades both maybe got caught up a little bit in the exchange, thinking that their power was going to land first, and it didn't. And that, ultimately paid dividends for Aspinall. I think Gane is too much of a seasoned striker to be caught like that in an exchange. And I just can't, in my head, picture Ciryl Gane being caught and dropped and knocked out on the feet like a Pavlovich. I think this fight goes by way of submission to Tom Aspinall in the second round. And then what's next for Tom Aspinall? We will have to wait and see. Maybe a Jailton Almeida, maybe a Volkov rematch. We will have to see. Maybe a John Jones, maybe an Alex Pereira, maybe a Brock Lesnar. Maybe not. Let me know in the comments below who you think is going to win the UFC 321 main event. It's a cracker. It's a really exciting fight from Abu Dhabi on the 25th of October. I'm really excited for this one. I'll have a breakdown, or I've got a breakdown of Mackenzie Dern versus Jandiroba up on the site now. I've got an AI predicts this fight as well. I won't give away what they think will happen in this fight, but I do it for every single pay-per-view main event. AI predicts the main event. That will be live on MMA Sucker this week. Keep it locked to MMA Sucker because there's a lot coming out. I've also got betting tips and predictions piece on the website as well. So head over to MMAsucker.com to check them out. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will be back on the MMA Sucker podcast next week, breaking down all that went down from UFC 321. Thanks for listening, and I will catch you next time.